All set.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're excited to be here and share information on our F1 students. Let me start the PowerPoint here. Okay. All right, can everyone see that? I'm going to assume yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, so first we're going to give just a little bit of an overview from here at Tri-C, our F1 students, what that looks like, what their journey looks like, and give you a little bit of information about all of that. So here at Tri-C, we do have 4 international offices college-wide, one on each campus. I'm here at the Metro campus, which is located in downtown Cleveland. Dan Safko, whom you'll hear from shortly, is located in Parma at our Western campus. We have an international office at our Eastern campus, which is in Highland Hills. And we have an international office located at our West Shore campus, which is located in Westlake, Ohio. So college-wide, we have 230 international students on an F1 student visa, representing 59 different countries. So we have a very diverse population, which is wonderful. Let me just address the international student term. Sometimes that sort of gets lost. It becomes an umbrella term that can refer to many different groups of students from other countries. It could be a J1 student, right, who's here working as an au pair and wants to begin classes at Tri-C. It could be someone who is here as a refugee or as an asylee. It could be someone on temporary protected status, such as our students from Ukraine and Afghanistan, or someone also who is a parolee. For our purposes here today, during our presentation with myself and with Dan, we're specifically referring to those students, those international students who hold an F1 student visa. So then the next question is, what is an F1 student visa? All right. So an F1 student visa, by definition, is a non-immigrant visa that really allows overseas students who want to come to the United States to pursue education for a very defined period of time. And key in that definition, and I've highlighted it there, is the word or the phrase non-immigrant visa. And that's very important because the other statuses that I talked to you about, most of them are on that immigrant pathway. A non-immigrant, again, is here for a defined period of time, and then they will usually finish their education and then return home to work. So once a student has an F1 visa, how do they maintain it? Our F1 students are required each semester, fall and spring, to maintain what's known as a full course of study. And immigration defines that as at least 12 credit hours for an undergraduate student. 9 of those credits must be seated in a classroom or some type of hybrid where the student is required to be in class at least once a week or a couple of times during the semester. So then that would then leave them 3 credits for an online course if they would choose to take a class in that modality. F1 students also must maintain their immigration status while they're in the United States, which means, again, they have to pursue a full course of study. They have to maintain a valid passport and their I-20. And they have to only work on campus. So an F1 student really can't work off campus except in very specific situations. So that is how they maintain their status. Sort of an overview of the F1 process. So what does that journey look like for an applicant who's sitting overseas in their home country? How do they get from there to sitting into one of our Tri-C classrooms? So the first thing they would do is they would apply. And there's a very specific application process for an F1 applicant that is very different from someone who resides here in the United States. And we're going to go over that in just a couple of seconds here. Once they've gone through that application process successfully, they will receive an acceptance letter from us along with an I-20. An I-20 is a legal document. And on it, it lists out all the information about the student, their program of study, their program dates, when the program starts, when it should be completed by. It lists all of their financial information. And then one of us from one of the international student offices, we're required to sign and date it, indicating that all that information is true. So that's all sent to the student. Once the student receives that I-20, they will then go online to schedule an appointment to meet with the U.S. consulate in their home country. They'll pay the I-901 fee. It's a fee to schedule that appointment. And then when they go to the U.S. consulate, they'll bring along all their immigration documents, including the signed I-20 and the acceptance letter. The interview is usually pretty quick. They usually last between 3 and 5 minutes. Hopefully it's successful, and that student will receive an F1 visa in their passport. Then they can start travel plans, and they can actually enter the United States 30 days before their program start date, just to allow them to come in and get acclimated and find housing and whatever else they might need to do. So the application process, this is our website here. We update it frequently, so all the application deadlines, all of the information is up to date. And I'm going to show you some screenshots of that a little bit later here. But we also have helpful information up there just to help support them in case they're, have questions, and maybe, the offices are closed and they might need extra support. We have a lot of other information up there as well. So the application process for someone who's applying to be an F1 applicant here at Tri-C is right here. So there's that F1 application. There are live links to everything that they might need. So they would print this off and complete it. If they're in the United States currently attending another college, we get a lot of transfer students, for example, say from Cleveland State. There's a transfer form that their current international advisor will sign off, because they have to notify that international office that they do intend to transfer to Tri-C. We do have proof of English language proficiency. If they've taken the equivalent of English composition at another school in the United States and received a C or higher, they can just transfer that right on in. If they're overseas, we do require that they give us either a TOEFL or an IELTS test score. These are tests of English as a second language. And these are the scores that we're looking for to get into the academic program. If they don't score exactly reach these scores, then we will test them for the ESL program here at the college. We do require a copy of their high school diploma and transcript, just for the registrar's office, proving that they did complete secondary education. If they are currently at another U.S. institution, we do require an official copy of those college transcripts also to be sent to our registrar's office. We do require a copy of the passport and the F1 visa. If they're currently in the United States and their intention is to transfer in, we also ask for a copy of their current I-20 and their I-94 as well. We do ask for proof of financial support. We are looking for a current bank statement showing $29,539. This information is required and has to be written on the I-20. So once they have that and information from the financial sponsor, then they will have completed the application process. So I'm going to toss it over to my colleague Dan now, who's going to give you a bit more information.
Yeah, so as we're kind of working, especially here at Tri-C with some of our international students, here are just some really kind of useful things to know. Some of this Lori already kind of covered, that if they are in an academic program here, they are able to do up to 3 hours of their coursework online. The other 9 hours need to be face-to-face. That does not apply for our ESL program. So if you're working with any F1 student on it who is ESL, please make sure that they're doing all of their coursework face-to-face. We try to avoid them taking last 8-week classes, and that's just because they need to maintain their enrollment throughout the semester. And it's very difficult in that second 8-week if they need to drop, because at that point we can't have them add another class. And at that point they are out of status and we have to take action. And that's the other thing there is we very much try to coach them to avoid withdrawing from their coursework. Because once they are no longer in their full-time enrollment, unless they are in the process of getting back into full-time enrollment, they're out of status on their visa. So we need to make sure that we usually try to coach them that it's usually in their best interest to avoid withdrawing from coursework. In general, summer is a vacation term for us, so you might see some of our international students this summer taking coursework that's entirely online, and that is fine because summer is a vacation term for us. As Lori mentioned before, work approval is just for on-campus employment. As you're working with international students as they are looking for jobs on campus, be aware that they will not be eligible for federal work-study jobs. So a couple of times I've worked with students who are super excited, they apply, they get an interview, and then they realize that it's a federal work-study job, or the supervisor reaches out to me to say, hey, we're looking to hire this student. And if it's a federal work-study job, our F1 students cannot complete it. So in general, we try to tell them to look at those intern categories on our website. Those in general are usually the safest things for our international students to apply for. Department of Homeland Security, who kind of gives us our regulations, gives us our operating procedures. Unauthorized work is really not acceptable. So if we find out that a student is working out off campus and has not been authorized to do so, that's grounds for us taking action on their immigration record, and that will invalidate their F1 visa. So again, any questions about work, because again, we all work with international students. If they're asking you questions, you're getting in the weeds, always feel free to refer them out to us international coordinators on the individual campuses, because we deal with this all the time. So feel free to kind of refer them out to be able to help them out. I think we can, yeah, and same thing, we do have some academic internships. We do have opportunities for them to do some limited work, but that's something that really they need to work with us to be able to get that approval and to go through all the different paperwork on that. Here's something that's really helpful for our allies here at Tri-C that are working with international students that are helping us help our international population. One really good question is always to ask what their current immigration status is and if they're on an F1 student visa. I felt really bad the other day. I went to lunch. I came back, there's a student sitting outside the enrollment center at West who says, oh, I've been sitting here for half an hour waiting for you. As soon as I start talking to this gentleman, he's a legal permanent resident. So again, I'm always happy to help students, but really our enrollment center, our recruiters, our success specialists, any of those other folks can also help those students. And so don't always feel that, and if they're on an F1 visa, they should certainly work with us. Some of those other immigration statuses, they are welcome to work with our recruiters, with our success specialists. And often that's what we end up doing too, is just referring them out. So sometimes if you can suss out that they're not an F1 visa, then you can directly refer them to financial aid. You can directly refer them to the enrollment center, and you're removing me as the middleman, right? To sort of meet with these students and they go, I have no idea how you apply for federal aid. Let me, ask one of our financial aid counselors. I'm assuming somebody's monitoring the chat here. I'm gonna just take a look quickly at some of these questions.
Yes, Daniel, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to pause for a minute here and take a look at this. Well, somebody asked about the $18,700 reasonable for living expenses. The expenses here run for 12 months, and that's something that we indicate when we issue the I-20 is that we are, the tuition is for 2 semesters, so we take that out-of-state international rate, 12 hours, for 2 semesters. That's how we get that number. That 18,700, we just did some number crunching and benchmarking on that in consultation with financial aid and some of the other folks. So we feel that that's a reasonable amount of money. And the other thing that the truth of it is every single international student has a different situation. And so I would say a vast majority of them, or probably at least half, have a connection here. So we have to be able to show those living expenses, but a lot of them are saying, I'm coming to live with an uncle here in Parma. I'm coming here to live with a family member. So though we have to collect that paperwork for the I-20, sometimes those numbers are just on paper because they're coming to live with a family to do something like that. The proof of financial, we have to collect, that is a requirement given to us by USCIS, that we have to be able to collect bank statements and collect paperwork to be able to prove that the student can support themselves or has a sponsor to support them. And that's true of lots of other visa statuses outside of the F1 as well. Work, if our international students are working on campus, they are able to work 20 hours per week when classes are in session. When classes are out of session, that's able to go up to 40 hours per week. So somebody dropped that in the chat, and I think that kind of caught us up. And I just have a couple of more things to go through here. You can always ask the student if they know their international advisor or what campus holds their immigration record. One of the challenges, because we're a large organization, I have lots of students who I owe their immigration record at West, but they take all their classes at West Shore, or they take all their classes at Metro. So sometimes that can become a part of it, is making sure they get connected to the right person when they're looking for work authorization and those sorts of things. You can always ask them if they have their current I-20. That helps too, because you can see whose name is on the I-20, and you'll also see what campus. So sometimes they'll say, oh no, I take all my classes at West. I'm a West student. And you'll ask, oh, do you happen to have your I-20 with you? And I pull it out, and sure enough, I see Lori's name there. And I go, oh, okay, well, you know, I realize you're taking your classes here at West, but you're gonna have to work with my colleague Lori to, for anything related to your immigration record. And does your current schedule meet F1 regulations? So especially some of our academic advisors that are joining us today, it's always a great thing to say, hey, are you making sure that you're balancing when you add that we have enough face-to-face courses as you're moving toward that 12 credit hours full-time online, or full-time, no more than 9 hours online. I mean, no more 9 hours. Gosh, I keep messing that up. No more than 3 hours online, 9 hours face-to-face.
Daniel, there are 2 more questions in the chat.
Yep. Let's see here. F1 visa eligible for Mandel? Yes, we have several international students that are on the Mandel scholarship. Not many at West, but I know Lori's got a fair number at Metro that are on the Mandel scholarship. And then Lori, I don't know, they're asking about how that applies to CSU to complete their bachelor's. Have you worked with anybody that's done that? With Mandel?
Yes, actually, when they're a Mandel Scholar here, there is a way to transition it. That Mandel Scholar does transition to Cleveland State. They probably have to work with Cleveland State for the particulars in that application process.
I just wanted to make sure as a classroom instructor, it was okay to recommend that program for a student. I didn't want to recommend them for something they wouldn't be eligible for. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Great, great. And then we just linked out to the financial aid and scholarships page here. As we are working, you saw we have that financial piece of the I-20. Unfortunately, we don't put scholarships as part of that. They have to be able to document that they can pay without any kind of scholarships. And the reality is, other than Mandel, the vast majority of other scholarships are a few $100s. And so certainly helps our students, but it's not going to be able to prove that whole $29,539. So we always tell students they're welcome to go and look for scholarships, but it's not going to cover the whole amount, which is what some of them unfortunately really need to be able to come to the United States. So we get to break a lot of hearts via email when it's like, hey, do you have a full scholarship for a Cameroonian student to come to Tri-C? And we just don't. So real quick, just some of the ways that we support our international students. We have advisors on each campus. We help with immigration and cultural adjustment. We have each campus has its own international orientation each semester, robust ESL programs. We rely heavily on our academic counselors to assist them. We have FYE courses, tutoring, laptop loan, food pantry, and then of course, multicultural clubs as well.
All right, well, great. So I think at this point, we'll toss it over to Evan from Global Cleveland, and then I think we're going to circle back around after it's all done and answer any more questions that you all might have. So Evan, I'm going to stop sharing here.
Thank you, Lori, for the introduction. Let me get my PowerPoint deck up real quick. Can everybody see that all right? Yes.
Yes, looks great.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Evan Schwalik. I'm the workforce manager at Global Cleveland. And just a little bit about myself. I've worked in the realm of refugee and immigrant economic inclusion for over 7 years. And I'm very excited to talk to you today about something that's really important to the subject of upward economic mobility for all of the newcomer communities that Tri-C serves, regardless of status, and that's their eligibility for financial assistance. So what I'll do today is I'll briefly describe and attempt to differentiate each of these populations that you might come into contact in your daily work, and then talk about what financial assistance resources they're eligible for. I'll wrap up by providing some suggestions for financial assistance for these communities and hopefully allow plenty of time for questions. So with that, I'll get things underway. So first population that we'll go over is the Office of Refugee Resettlement Populations. And this is kind of a shifting definition, and those that are probably able to access the most benefits through Tri-C and different sources of funding. So who exactly are the Office of Refugee Resettlement Populations, or ORR populations, as we like to call them? Those are refugees. Those are individuals who fled their home country under fear of persecution to a second country where they registered with the UN High Commission on Refugees, and then eventually through health screenings, security screenings, connection to resettlement agencies here in the United States, they eventually receive permission to enter the United States through the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program. Similar to refugees are the asylee community. And instead of going to a refugee camp to seek registration through the UNHCR, they present themselves at the US border or within the country already to make their case for fear of persecution. So exact same sort of parameters for what constitutes them for the approval of that status. It's just really a matter of where they ask for that status that differentiates the two populations. So in addition to refugees and asylees, certain parolees are considered ORR populations. Currently, that's just certain Afghans and Ukrainians, those who were predominantly evacuated as part of either the fall of Kabul in 2021 or those who fled the Russian invasion of Ukraine starting in February 22. Both of those communities obviously demonstrating an urgent humanitarian need. And then others, which really comprise a much smaller population in terms of those who are seeking services here in Northeast Ohio. We have Cuban and Haitian entrants, Amerasians, and victims of trafficking. So I'll go on to describe refugees and asylees in a little bit more detail. And I've lumped these two together because asylees, once they are approved for their asylum status, largely conform exactly to refugees in terms of the services that they receive and the benefits that they're eligible for. So again, it's important to differentiate that I'm talking about those who have been approved for asylum status, not asylum seekers, who I'll discuss later in this presentation among other visa holders. So both of these communities are on a pathway to citizenship, and therefore they have access to federal financial assistance in addition to state and institutional support. They have lawful permanent residence in the United States. Their I-94 forms, which denote their arrival in the country, will often show durational status, or DS, on their I-94, indicating that they have a permanent legal presence in the country. You can see there on the right, the I-94 example has that red box around DS that indicates durational status. So both of these groups will have green card eligibility 1 year from the date that their status was approved. And then they'll adjust to receive a green card, and they'll be eligible for citizenship after 5 years. And so those interacting with refugees and asylees will probably see some common forms, and this is probably true for a number of the populations I'm going to be discussing today, but I-94s will be very common among all of them. And then because they're on a pathway to citizenship and have that legal permanent residence, you'll see state identification and social security cards. And then there pictured at the bottom is the form I-766, which is the employment authorization card, which is also used to establish legal work authorization in the United States. So moving on to parolee populations that are considered ORR eligible, this is where things get a little bit tricky. Right now, that only consists of Afghans and Ukrainians, the Afghan parolees and special immigrant visa holders. These were admitted to the United States on humanitarian grounds following the withdrawal from Afghanistan, or because of their support of the American military forces. So the Afghans who supported American military forces may or may not have this special immigrant visa status. And that puts them on a pathway to citizenship, whereas currently parole does not. So Afghan parole, Ukrainian parole, and the Uniting for Ukraine program do not provide permanent residency in the United States. That's subject to legislation. That will probably change over time, but this is just to differentiate and say that there will be Afghan parolees that you may come into contact with who have pending SIV claims, and there's just going to be a lot of sorting through that to determine exactly what benefits they may be eligible for long term. But because these two parole groups were by legislation designated Office of Refugee Resettlement eligible populations, they both meet Title IV eligibility requirements for financial assistance and can receive federal financial aid. And then for the Ukrainian parolees, the Uniting for Ukraine program, or U4U, is a designation that many may have seen on visas for those working directly with these communities. Also admitted to the United States on humanitarian grounds following the Russian invasion. And because of the Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2022, they were designated Office of Refugee Resettlement populations and made eligible for federal programs like resettlement, healthcare, food subsidy, and most importantly for this conversation, education. And those parole dates would be between when the war started in February 22 and the end federal fiscal year, which is September 30th of 2023. And there are other certain circumstances where somebody could be paroled into the country after the end of this fiscal year in September, where they would still have benefits under the Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act. It's really on a case-by-case basis. It depends on whether they have children who are paroled in as unaccompanied minors, or if they have family members, immediate family members paroled in that time period above. And then for other parolee, we have other parolee groups, and these are new parole categories that are being defined for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. They're being admitted under humanitarian grounds, and they have a sponsorship model that's like those that were implemented under the Afghans and Ukrainians. And it gets tricky here because despite them sharing a status in name with these two groups, they're not conferred the same benefits. So no legislation has been enacted yet to grant any of these populations ORR designation. So they're not eligible for resettlement support and certain government benefits at present. And like other parolees, their long-term residence in the United States is subject to legislation that hasn't yet passed. So since all of these above nationalities are not ORR populations, nor do they have a clear path to citizenship, they're only eligible for state and institutional financial aid. And so this was covered, but just to provide a little bit more in-depth coverage for international students, there's a few visas that you may come across for in working with them. The F visa is by far the most common, and it confers benefits like optional and curricular practical training. Those are also work eligibility programs that international students can participate in after they receive their credential or complete an associate's degree program. That's between 1 and 3 years of visa-free employment eligibility, 3 years for the case of STEM majors, 1 year for the case of all other students. There's the J1 visa holder, which, as discussed previously, may be in the United States without the sole intent of education. They could be a trainee at a business, they could be researching, or they could be potentially an intern. And then finally, the M visa, which is those entering vocational or technical training. And since international students are also not on a path to citizenship, they are ineligible for federal financial aid. However, state and institutional support is still available to them as well. And then I think this may be the final category we have today is other visa holders in the undocumented. These non-immigrant visas could include the H-1B, which is specialty occupations, J, as I'd mentioned previously, and then potentially the spouses of those visa holders as well. There is the deferred adjudication for childhood arrival, also known as DACA or Dreamers, who do not have a pathway to citizenship, but are still lawful permanent residents with full legal work authorization. And DACA recipients can apply for state and institutional financial assistance. And then finally, there's the undocumented students who may not have a legal presence in the United States, but still have the full eligibility for state and institutional financial support. And I did forget to mention as well, but one final category is those who have temporary protected status, and those with TPS status also have the right to state and institutional financial assistance. So just to go briefly over the options that are available to each of these populations, I have a handy little flow chart up here for different sources of financial assistance that maybe that different populations are eligible for. But even outside of state, federal, and institutional aid, there's other options that exist. So crowdfunding, I think, is one really creative option to potentially activate a local diaspora or ethnic community. And there's a number of educational crowdfunding websites that are available to international students, or really all of the populations that are being described here, such as GiveSmart, EdSeed, and Phoenix. You could look a few different ways at private scholarships. I would recommend, in many circumstances, international students or refugee students may be the first of their families to go to a four-year university. So the first generation scholarships could be of something that's pertinent to them, or those that are population specific. They're a little bit more rare, but The Dream.us scholarship is available for DACA recipients, and the Paul and Daisy Soros Fellowship is available for refugees. Here at Global Cleveland, we're really excited to announce that after our former board chair, David Fleshler, we've named a scholarship for an international student, and that awards over $5,000 regardless of the status or population they belong to. And we're also excited to announce that that award will be forthcoming tomorrow. And we had over 70 applicants in our first round, something that we definitely intend to expand in the future, and something that is certainly very competitive, but we would welcome Tri-C students to apply for as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to any questions that the viewers may have for me today. Thank you very much.
So we have a few items in the chat. One that was back from when Daniel was still speaking was indicated by Rebecca that Mendel Scholars only covers up to in-county tuition. So international students can in fact receive the scholarship, but will still owe money as they are not considered in-county residents. Thank you for that. And then we also, Laura has said, will the topic of working in the field after graduation be addressed? The radiography program has a student that graduated from the program and passed the national certification exam, was able to work at the Cleveland Clinic for 1 year on a work permit, optical practical training, but after a year lost her job due to the OPT being only 1 year. According to the government website, to apply for a work visa, the position to be filled must require a bachelor's degree, which Tri-C's radiography program degree is an associate. This student, unable to gain a work visa, had to return to school at a different college since she had only a student visa to pursue a nursing degree. The student has a bachelor's degree from Brazil, which I do not believe was acknowledged. And so the question is, are F1 students aware of their working situation, because the student had no idea and was an exceptional student? And are there resources or a contact person that can help with a work visa?
Yeah, I can take this. So we have full day orientations. And during that orientation, we do go over employment. That's a pretty big piece of it. And we also have different seminars throughout the semester on employment opportunities, especially, if there are jobs available on campus. But all F1 students, once they've graduated and completed their degree, they are eligible to apply to the U.S. government for OPT, which is also known as optional practical training. This is 12 months of legal work in the United States that the U.S. Government grants to them, just so they can get some experience and some training in their field before they return home to work. And so that definitely is true. I'm glad the student was able to obtain her 12 months and work and get that experience behind her. Very often they will work with an employer or ask if the employer then can sponsor them on a work visa. And some employers do and some employers don't. For our purposes here, to maintain that F1 visa, once that OPT year is over, they then have a 60-day grace period to either have the employer sponsor them on an H visa or transfer to another school to obtain a higher degree, or some of our students do return home to use that degree and work in their home country. So all F1 students do have that information, yes.
Are there any other questions from our presenters or for our presenters? So there's another one in the chat. I have several students in my program who inquire and want to apply for the emergency funds program, but are not eligible. What resources are available for F1 students is it true they can apply for the College Emergency Fund program, which is a maximum of $500 annually, and search the scholarship page?
Yes, so F1 students can absolutely search the scholarship page. We encourage them to apply for whatever scholarships they might be eligible for. Yes, they are eligible for the emergency funding. They will work through financial aid, even though they're not eligible for financial aid. Financial aid oversees that emergency funding, and they do work through them. There's also, I don't remember the exact term, but it's an emergency. I think it's $100 that we each have that we're able to extend to a student in need every semester, and so they're eligible for that as well.
That's the Care Team Cash.
That's right, it is.
Care Cash. Any other questions?
Yeah, hold on.
Kathy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question. It's probably too long to type. When I was an international student, I had to give that proof of funding like it seems we ask of our international students. But then in terms of the housing expenses, the college actually held that and distributed it to us monthly so that we would not find ourselves in a country where we spent all of our money at the beginning and then we're in need of emergency funds later. Has Tri-C tried this in the past? Is it not allowed? I'm just curious. I know as a college student, I was like annoyed about it when it happened, but I was happy about it when I was in the country because it made sure that I had food and housing during the end of my stay.
So since we don't have on-campus housing, we just have to certify that that amount of money is available to the student for them to draw upon for their living expenses, such as housing. The only money that Tri-C collects is the money due for tuition. The housing is sort of up to the student where they want to live and which roommates they want to live with. And as Dan was saying before, a lot of students have like family or friends in the area that they live with. So no, we don't manage any type of funding for international students. That's all completely up to them.
So we have a question in the chat. I have called the International Student Office with immigrant but non-F1 student questions, and they are quite helpful. Is it okay to still do this?
Yeah, you can call. We're always here to help. Absolutely. But we may refer the student out and connect them with, for example, a recruiter or a student success specialist, or maybe they need to be talking to one of our dean's offices. Whatever it is, absolutely, we're always happy to help. But just know that if it doesn't involve the F1 visa and all of those particulars, we're going to refer them and make a connection to a staff person that would be better aligned to help that student.
So Lori, to that point, for our community partners that are on the call, is it best for us to have them contact this International Student Office directly versus trying to navigate other folks at the institution to answer their questions or to refer an international student?
I think it would probably be best to begin with the recruiters. I think that would be a really great starting point, and then they can help the student go through that application process. And they always come to us if there are additional questions, but then they can also get those student success specialists involved as well.
Thank you. So there was a question about how does Tri-C recruit international students? Does anyone know, Lori?
We actually don't have any funding for recruiting international students. I think our best recruitment are the students themselves. I can't tell you how many siblings I've had of students, or, I just had a phone call today from someone calling from another state, and they have a friend who's coming from overseas, and they were like, oh, you need to go to Tri-C. And so they immediately connected that student with me. We have a lot of transfer students from our local colleges and universities. We're very lucky in this area to have so many wonderful educational institutions, and students flow in between schools all the time. So that's a normal process.
So Supriya has shared, anyone with a foreign degree can check if their degree can be accredited through different organizations. And the one Global Cleveland works with is World Education Services. This will help to figure out if their foreign degree is equivalent for an H-1B or not an H-1B, as H-1B does not accept associate degree. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and then also another comment.
Let me just interject though. Here at Tri-C, we don't accept WES evaluations. We use another company. It's called Educational Perspectives. That information is listed right on our website. And in fact, if you go onto the international website, we have a direct link to it. So that student would then work with Educational Perspectives, upload their foreign transcripts, pay the fee. They must choose, this is key, catalog match, so that Educational Perspectives will take their transcripts and directly match it to our curriculum course by course. Otherwise, they'll just send a general report to our registrar's office saying, oh yes, this student should get 21 credit hours, but it doesn't say specifically which classes they should get. So definitely choose catalog match.
So Cheryl has said that colleges can earn a lot from international students. So why doesn't Tri-C recruit?
Most of your community colleges do not recruit. The recruiters are usually your big four-year institutions that will go overseas to different recruitment fairs. I mean, I've done that in my past life. And so that's the question. There really is no funding. The international offices do not have any sort of funding.
Susan has asked, she said, I connect students with employers through the Job Shadow program. However, do I ask international students to not ask for sponsorship because of their F1 status, or should I continue doing this?
Dan, do you want to say, or sponsorship? Are you talking like once they've graduated so that the employer would sponsor them for an H-1B visa? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm sorry, I kind of was typing really fast. So yeah, normally when I send them out, I know that a lot of them are here. A lot of international students have come see me for a job shadow, and I'm able to send them out to employers just to observe. There's no hands-on, there's no anything like that. But I encourage them not to ask for sponsorship because I know of the F1 visa, they're better off talking to our international, their international person instead of asking that. So I want to make sure that I'm not hurting them in any way, that I'm still doing the proper thing by saying, you know, please table that discussion, talk to the your campus counselor.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate that. Yes, you know, if a student goes out to observe, I've had dental hygiene students go into, you know, like their aunt or uncle is a dentist, and they'll go in for like a day or two of shadowing just to sort of see what that looks like, right? And that's perfectly fine. And that doesn't require any type of immigration process on our end because the student is not getting paid. They're not doing any type of work, and it's really just going in and observing. So yeah, that would probably be a great experience for them. But call us anytime you have a question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We still have about 8 minutes left. So Lori and Daniel, and of course,
Yes.
Evan, if you could speak to our partnerships and the importance of Tri-C working with community organizations to ensure that our students are receiving the support that they need, even outside of their education needs.
Would this be a question for Evan, or what are you referring to, like outside partnerships?
Yeah, I was just wanting for you to sort of maybe talk a little bit about how Tri-C partners with outside organizations in terms of referring students out to receive additional service outside of education.
So if there is a student, you know, as Dan referred to in one of the slides, we try to provide wraparound services for the student, and be there for them, the other person, no matter what they're going through, whether it's a personal, cultural, adjustment period, if they have, you know, guiding them through their immigration processes. If there's anything going on with the student, we always make the referral and walk them straight up to a counselor. The counselor then is best suited to sit down with them, provide personal counseling, and then if a referral needs to be made to, you know, further help, then that referral is made at that point.
Thank you.
In terms of food pantry, we also have a wonderful food pantry for those that might be food insecure. They're able to get a certain amount of food every week from our food pantry on every campus. So that's a wonderful, wonderful benefit for our students that we receive from a private donor.
Yes, absolutely. And to add to that, our students are able to receive up to 15 pounds of food weekly at our food pantry. I see that Michael Wilkins has his hand up.
I do. I have two questions. One of my students, so basically for the F1 student status, are they tied to grades? Because I had a student who failed and they said, oh, they're going to get deported because they got a failing grade. So is there any connection between student grades and their status as a student?
There is not. There is not a direct connection between any money that they owe the college or any grade that they're getting in a classroom. Where the connection comes is when they then become academically dismissed from the college. Then that becomes an issue. But being deported, no. What they can simply do then is apply to a different school, and we can help them transfer that CVIS record to the new school. And as we all know, grades don't transfer, so that they can start fresh and hopefully be a bit more successful in the classroom.
Maybe they wanted Michael to give them some free points on their grade.
That could be.
Could be, but no. And the other question is, I often have a lot of my late admit students tend to be international students. And once they're admitted, I hardly ever see them ever again. Isn't that considered academic fraud? Or because they're doing attendance and then they never show up again?
Well, as the instructor, as you're doing that daily attendance tracker, there are our system will actually drop the student from any class that they're not attending, as long as the non-attendance is reported. And in the classes that I teach, you know, I have the same thing happens. Now, every Monday morning, we do receive a report on all of our F1 students, those who have dropped below 12 credit hours. And then we start the process of reaching out to the student to find out what's going on, how we can help them, working with the faculty member. But no, the student should be attending class. And if you're reaching out to them and they're not responding, feel free to send us an email and we will reach out to them as well.
Because like I said, they come in for the in-person class, they come in once after they get that acceptance, you know, later enrollment, and I've never seen them again. And so they met the academic requirement of attendance because they went to one class, but they're not really, and it's like, so.
Yeah, feel free to email us and we will definitely reach out to the student. We just want to make sure the student's doing okay, make sure nothing happened. You know, for example, just this morning, I'm working with a student on a transfer in situation and I haven't heard back, and I was emailing and he finally answered me back this morning and he said, I am so sorry. I was admitted to the hospital and I've been in the hospital for the past 2 weeks. And so things like that do happen. If it's a whole semester, I'm sure that's not the case. But we will certainly help you get involved just to make sure that student is successful in your classroom.
How do faculty know that they are an international student? Do they self-disclose? That's the only thing?
You can look in Banner and on on one of the screens, I can share that with you a little bit later if you'd like. on one of our screens, it will indicate that they're an F1 student.
Okay.
And they're also their residency number also indicates that they're on an F1 student visa.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left and I have a couple of items in the chat. If a student needs legal support, do we have any referrals that would provide a reduced cost to the students? We have had several students in counseling that need legal guidance, and cost is the biggest barrier.
I'll take this one too. I've referred students out to Catholic Charities. I think they have some pro bono attorneys. I don't think I know that have been able to help. Also, the city that they reside in, they should be able to go down and find some free legal help as well, or who can make connections for them.
Just to jump in as well, Legal Aid Society of Cleveland could also be of support.
Yes, and we had Katie.
Yeah. Hi, I was just going to jump on. Hi, I'm Katie Lasky-Dunham, I'm an attorney at Legal Aid. And yes, please definitely refer your students with legal issues to us. We now have an online intake portal at Legal Aid. They can do online intake in English or Spanish or in any language by calling the phone. I'll put that in the chat.
Do you know if that's on our webpage, Lori? And if not, it probably should be.
No, it is. It's not. I would actually like your contact information, Katie. So maybe we can connect afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Katie. And a question in the chat. What about testing for a possible disability?
All right, so that is also, I've had students in my class that I suspect that there might be a learning disability, and we refer them to our access services offices.
Thank you. Funding for testing, for that testing. Is that the same pertaining to the disability question, Judith? Like, I'm assuming she's asking if there's funding for testing for disability.
Yeah, this is Claire over at West, and unfortunately the college doesn't have funds to support, and some of the tests are expensive. We have limited resources at this point of even referrals. I can check the state website as far as what they're offering now, but they've reduced their support for the medical testing or psychological testing required as well. So I'm happy to circle back to the host of the training to just let you know what I learned.
Thanks, Claire. Okay, so it looks like we're a minute after the hour. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. We appreciate so much for our presenters taking the time to inform us on this very valuable information pertaining to supporting international students at Tri-C. Thank you everyone for your participation and for your willingness to help support our students. And again, this information will be provided to you, both the PowerPoint and the recording, via email. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week. Thank you.